Yo, I hope you guys are doing fantastic today. In this video, we're going to go over how you can save a ton of time whenever you're gathering by increasing your efficiency and your yield. And make sure you watch all the way to the end of this video because I'm going to show you guys how you can get double the resources every single time you gather a node in New World. This is going to make you a lot of money and save you a ton of time. So I've recently started really getting into gathering in New World. It's a part of the game that I've neglected for a very long time. Sure, I've been out gathering here and there, waiting for OPR queues or arena queues, or waiting to get into an M10, but I've never spent a lot of time getting a lot of gear together and going out on actual gathering sessions. So whenever you go out on these actual gathering sessions, increasing your yield is incredibly important. It saves you a ton of time and makes you a lot of money. The first thing we're going to talk about that's going to increase your yield is just simply your tool. So whenever you have a tool equipped, there's a perk in the game for every single type of tool, and it's called yield. So as you can see here, we have a perk called skinning yield on the skinning knife, and right here it looks like it yields 12% more resources. That's for a gear score 200 tool. You can compare that to the tool that I currently have equipped, which is a 600 gear score tool. You can see that skinning yield goes all the way up to 19%. So that's very important, and this is something I would highly recommend that you get on your tool, even if you're at a lower level and you can only equip a tier 2 tool. This is going to save you a lot of time and just yield you more resources, even when just casually gathering out in the world. The next thing we're going to talk about is the use of a consumable called a proficiency booster. You can craft this at a workshop using the engineering skill, and whenever we type in proficiency booster at the workstation here, you can see there's 4 different types: the weak, the common, the strong, and the powerful. The weak requires 20 engineering in a workshop tier 2. Going to increase your amount of resources gathered by 5% for 10 minutes. It's very cheap to make. The common proficiency booster requires engineering level 70 and a tier 3 workshop. It's 7% increase for 15 minutes. The strong requires a 120 engineering level with a tier 4 workshop, 10% for 20 minutes. And then the powerful requires 170 with a tier 5 workshop. It's 15% for 30 minutes. These require quintessences and are very expensive whenever you go purchase them. On our server currently, these are going for about 200 gold a pop. So a lot of people don't use these. They think they're too expensive, so they opt to use the strong proficiency booster anyway. The powerful proficiency booster, however, is very important. It is vital to getting your double proc if that's what you're shooting for. We'll go over that more at the end of the video, but if you are shooting to get double proc resources, you have to have the powerful proficiency booster. The next way you can increase your yield is by using a music buff. If we come over here and we take a look at our trade skills, look at music, you can see that at 100 music, you can get the opportunity to increase your yield whenever gathering by playing the Fortune Favors song. So whenever you go into your music, you select a song. All you need to do is select the Fortune's Favor buff at the bottom, and then you will increase your yield whenever you're gathering. The way this works is if you play a 1-star song, your yield is only going to increase by 3%. And then if you play a 4-star song, it's going to increase all the way up to 10%. So you want to make sure that whenever you're playing the song, you play it right and you get a 4-star so that you can get your increased yield by 10%. So this increases your yield by 10% for 60 minutes. And of course, all of these stack on one another. So as you begin to get more and more of these yield bonuses, like the tool, the music, the proficiency booster, all of these stack and increase your yield more and more and more. The next way to increase your yield is a very simple one. It's just via attribute bonuses. So whenever we go to our attributes, you can see here at the 250 mark, on every single attribute, you will get some sort of yield increase. So strength is a 10% yield when mining, dex is a 10% yield when skinning, intelligence is a 10% yield when harvesting, focus is the only one that's a little bit different. It gives you a 10% increase to caught fish size, and then constitution increases your yield by 10% whenever logging. So it's all at the 250 mark. So whenever you go out for a very long session, make sure that you spec appropriately and put on gear possibly that has this attribute on there so you can hit the 250 mark. That way you're getting that increased yield. These next 2 methods of increasing yield are methods that you're not going to have direct control over. The first one we're going to go over is your gathering bonus whenever your faction owns a particular territory. So as you can see here, we're standing in Brimstone. I'm Syndicate. Our faction owns Brimstone. So if we take a look at the faction bonus that we get a gathering bonus of 10%. That is a gathering yield bonus that you're going to get. So anytime you are gathering in Brimstone Sand specifically, you'll get that 10% bonus. If you move outside of a territory that you gather, so for example, if I wanted to come to Ebonscale Reach to farm some hide, I would not receive that 10% bonus. The next one we're going to go over is a pretty big one. This is going to increase your yield by 20%. However, you do not have direct control over this particular bonus. We are talking about the town project bonus that you receive whenever you own a home in a particular settlement. So if you own a home in a particular settlement, you can get these global bonuses. Right now in Brimstone Sands, we have Helen Hardy, we have Weaponsmith's Temperament, and we have Chef's Passion. However, they could choose to go to Improved Lifestyle and activate one of these: Lumberjack Spirit, Farmer's Harvest, Miner's Resolve, or Hunter's Bounty. And you can see here, all of these increase your yield by 20% for 3 days. These can be pretty difficult to obtain because you have to own a house in the settlement that has one of these buffs active. Right now, for example, for me, I just moved my house over to Morningdale because I've been doing a lot of skinning, and as you can see here, we have the Hunter's Bounty increase. So it increases skinning quantity by 20% for 3 days. So if you want to have this bonus, you're either going to have to move your house to a place that has the bonus active, or the territory that you own your house in is going to have to activate this bonus for you. And the last bonus we want to talk about is by controlling the Brimstone Sands Fort. If your faction controls the Brimstone Sands Fort, you're going to get a gathering quantity of plus 10%. This one does not work like the other ones do though. This one is a plus 10% to whatever your yield currently is. And we're going to go over that a lot more in the next section, but just know this works a little bit differently. It increases your gathering quantity by 10%. You notice it doesn't increase your yield. Yield and what happens with the Brimstone Sands buff are two different things. We're going to go over the math here shortly, and this is one of the key components to having or to obtaining the double proc that we're going to talk about right now. So we tested this out on stream recently, and this does in fact work. This is very interesting. You can get double the resources every time you chop a tree, every time you skin a corpse, every time you harvest a node. You can get double resources in New World, but all of the stars have to align in order to make this happen. So all of the things we talked about before, you have to have all of those buffs that stack, and then once you do have all of those buffs, you will have a total gathering bonus of 202%, which allows you to double proc. So your base percentage is 100%. You need to have a powerful proficiency booster to give you 15%, your legendary tool at 19%, the fortune favors music buff at 10%, your attribute bonus at 10%, the settlement bonus at 20%, and again, this one can be very difficult to obtain. Then the faction control bonus at 10%. You notice these are highlighted a different color because you cannot directly control these two yourself. You can, to a degree, control the settlement bonus because you can move to a settlement that has the buff active, but I have found on my server it's been very difficult to find settlements that are actually activating gathering buffs. For whatever reason, no one's activating them. I think everybody just wants to have the crafting buffs up, and of course everybody loves to have Hell and Hardy up. That's very useful, but to find a crafting bonus has been very difficult for me, but we finally did it on stream. We were able to test it, and it did in fact work. But again, to make this work, all of the stars have to align, but whenever they do, it is absolutely magnificent. You can just double proc everything, and this does include moats whenever you have a legendary tool. So if you have a legendary tool and you're gathering moats with that legendary tool, you do double proc moat as well whenever you gather. But we're going to talk about how the Brimstone Sands Fort is a little bit different and how the math is a little bit different than the other yield bonuses, and why it's possible to be able to get a 202% yield bonus. You have base proficiency, and then whenever you add all of your other yield bonuses up, they add up to 184%. Whenever you capture the Brimstone Sands Fort, you then get an additional bonus of 184 times 10, which gives you an additional bonus of 18%. Obviously, we don't have decimals in here, so to be 18.4%, but we're just going to deal with whole numbers because it's just easier. So 18% additional bonus. So 18 plus your 184 gives you the 202% yield bonus. This will allow you to double proc, which is pretty crazy, but again, you have to have all the stars aligned. You have to have all of these things up, and if you do, you will then be able to double proc, which is pretty amazing. But that's going to do it for this video, boys and girls. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't sleep on these things. Stacking your yield is absolutely crazy. I slept on this for a very long time because I wasn't gathering a lot of New World. Then I started stacking these and really trying to min max, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. Been making quite a little bit of money in New World, doing some aptitude crates and some other fun stuff, experimenting with some things, and this has been pretty fun. So make sure you don't sleep on the yield bonuses, and if you have an opportunity to get the double proc, to get the ever elusive 202% bonus, I would make sure you take that if you're planning on going out for a long gathering session. It is definitely worth doing. But that'll do it. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I greatly appreciate it. If you got something out of this video or just enjoy New World content in general, make sure to like and subscribe. I'd appreciate that a lot. And of course, make sure to come hang out with us on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/BDLG. Stream there every Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock a.m. CST. Hope we see you there, and we'll see you in the next one.